Hunt is presented by the Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights. The CCFR is Canada's gun lobby. Also brought to you by Vortex Canada, the force of optics. Prophet River Firearms, your source for Canada's finest firearms, optics, and accessories. Legal services provided by Loberg Ector, your complex commercial litigation experts.
Hey everybody, welcome to My Best Hunt. I'm your host, Rod Giltaca. Thanks for joining me again today on the show. Our special guest is Skyler Johnson. How are you, man?
Doing well. Thanks for having me and happy to be here, Rod.
Well, the pleasure is mine, sir. At the beginning of the show, we'd like to give people an opportunity to just tell us a little bit about yourself, where people can find your work, how you got into filming hunts, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm 36 years old. I've been hunting for about 10 seasons in BC. And didn't come up through a hunting family. My dad would take my brothers and I out in the Okanagan. We go fishing and camping, and I always loved that. Always loved bird watching, believe it or not, growing up, and just always enjoyed kind of animals in the natural world. But I didn't get into hunting until about 2010, and my brother and I were invited back to Alberta when my brother served with the PPCLI, and the boys, after getting out of the Army, they're doing a bit of a reunion with the side of hunting, and I got invited to go along. So I was kind of excited to check it out. But we got up in northern Alberta. I think Athabasca River rings a bell. But we spent 5 or 6 days out there. And the last day of that hunt, my brother and I watched as our friend Sam, also served with him there. He belly crawled down a cut block, got in position on the edge of a forest, and we watched from the top of the hill as a green fletched arrow flew from the brush and hit a bull moose right behind his front shoulder. And we watched that animal go down and celebrating from the top of the hill. And we went down there and we helped obviously process the animal. We packed it up. It was a tough pack out. And that night, eating the meat in camp, never tasted anything better. And from that point, I was hooked. And so got into it in BC a few years later. And I've been kind of figuring it out on my own ever since, but making videos as well along the way.
Did you get into archery hunting?
Archery hunting, just more recently met some friends in the forest and became hunting buddies. And I think one of them's on your show, so stay tuned for his episode. But archery hunting the last few years and had some success with some white-tailed deer, but primarily rifle hunting, deer, bear, and throughout BC.
Well, we've had some bow hunting stories on the show.
Good.
And what an incredible challenge.
Yeah, I mean, that's challenging for sure, but sometimes it's hard enough shooting an animal with a rifle. So I'm just kind of sticking to to that for now.
For the most absolutely. Why make things harder than they need to be?
For sure.
Until they need to be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So you haven't mentioned where people can find your YouTube channel.
Yeah. So my only social media that I'm promoting hunting on is Sky Edge YouTube channel. And I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years and pumping out the videos. Every season I get out a lot. I mean, I take all my vacation time in the fall and I get out and save it all for hunting. And generally I'll film the hunts. There's a bunch of hunts on there, spoiler alert, where I don't get animals, but there's a bunch on there where I do take some nice animals. And I think they're fun to watch. So if you're interested, check out Sky Edge YouTube. Sky
Edge. Okay. Yeah. So you have hunts where you don't get animals. So it's real.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of them. There's a lot of hunts where I'm not getting anything, but they're all special to me because I just like getting out there.
It is. So what kind of hunt are we talking about today?
Today, excited to share a stone sheep hunt in 2020. Got invited out with a couple of my friends. And, I actually offered to be the cameraman on a hunt that they were discussing. And after a little bit of discussion between them, they decided, we'll get Sky out. He can come with us and he can check out a stone sheep hunt. So it was my first time on a hunt of that scale, that magnitude, and being that remote. So I actually really didn't know what I was in for.
And what time of year was it?
The stone sheep season's in August, generally. Okay. Yeah. So we headed up north and started a big 12-day stone sheep hunt.
If you'd like to be a guest on My Best Hunt, email us a link to your video at show@mybesthunt.ca.
Yeah, Rod, so like I said, with this hunt, excited to head north with these two guys, but I got to give you a bit of context, is that we hadn't actually been on too many hunts together before going on this one. We had gotten out for the spring bear hunt, which was a fun hunt. I had volunteered myself to be the third guy and the cameraman on this hunt. So what they did was they checked with the jet boat operator that they had kind of planned the hunt with. and said, can we bring a third guy? And he goes, okay, I think we can. But how well do you know this guy? And do you know that it'll work with you guys out in the bush? Because what he advised them is when you go on a mountain hunt and it's as remote as it is, you really got to trust your hunting partners. You can't afford to get squirrely out there if someone starts changing their mind about maybe heading back, and you got to be able to kind of game plan it and be on the same page with the hunt. But they took a leap of faith on me, and I don't think I let them down on this one, but that's a kind of an important aspect with the mountain hunts. When you are that remote, you want to really trust your hunting partners and know that you could be on the same page and that you're a team out there.
Well, and speaking of how remote it was, so you're going to open up into the hunt, but that's something I think that you definitely should talk about, how remote it was.
Yeah, I mean, for a Vancouver guy like myself, the 19-hour drive up north to Fort Nelson, that's a big stretch. It takes you a little bit out of your comfort zone. And then from there, hopping on a jet boat and running up the river for a number of hours into complete wilderness before getting dropped off. And I just remember the moment that we were dropped off and we're kind of getting sorted, and you can hear the jet boat take off back downstream, and you kind of hear the sound of the engine peter off. And then at that point, you know you're alone, and things get real.
Like it was hours and hours, like 4 or 5 hours of boat, travel.
Yeah. And I had,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I forgot all about where we were. And, I wasn't keeping track of the river system. So we were really relying on that jet boat operator coming back, and the inReach in your pocket is your only lifeline at that point. But we were excited, really excited to be on this hunt and finally be here after all the planning and all the preparation, a little bit of training, trying to get in shape for all the mountain aspect of it. But we threw on the heavy packs. I think everyone's packing about a 70-pound bag, 75-pound bag, including rifle. And we started marching, and finding our way. We had a rough idea of where we needed to head, but no exact trail. So we did a little bit of bushwhacking, a lot of bushwhacking. And it was a trudge, and what I realized right away, almost off the bat, was that the mosquitoes liked me a lot more than they liked the other two guys, to the point where my hunting partners could wear a t-shirt and the mosquitoes would be after me.
I have the same problem.
Yeah. So it was a problem, but not much you can do about it at that point. You just got to keep hunting. But I think it was 5 or 6 hour heavy pack hike in. And we finally broke through kind of like a dense foresty area, like high brush, and emerged out into an open area on a lake. And it was that moment that I realized, like, we made it to sheep country. Absolutely beautiful, scenic area. The mountains, like, kind of flush with the sunset at that time, because it was evening as we got in. And I just was so excited to be there and to take it all in. We right away set up the tents. I kind of wanted a refuge from the mosquitoes. The other guys set up their spotters, and they started looking up at these mountains across the lake. And I just remember walking over and be like, so the sheep are up there, and what are we going to do if we see a sheep up there? And they just both looked at each other and then looked at me, because I had no idea, what it would take to hunt a stone sheep. These animals, the kings of the mountains up there in the north, and they love those peaks and the windswept peaks, and I guess it keeps the bugs off them, but there's lots of feed, and they inhabit the high spots, and you got to put in the legwork to get up there and pursue these sheep. So it was that point I realized kind of what I got myself into, but I was game, I was excited. And the next morning, got up, hiked even deeper into the area, and now we're really leaving the river behind. We're a day and a half march in, set up an additional camp, and we're just glassing all these mountains, and we're starting to pick up some sheep. We're picking up ewes and lambs, big groups of them. Really cool to see them chasing each other around. The lambs are playful, but we're looking for rams, and specifically 8 years or better with stone sheep rams. That's the requirement in British Columbia. And so we did see some younger rams in the first portion of the hunt, smaller sheep, half curl. Still very exciting to see. You're starting to get in the right area, but not seeing the mature ram. So we just kept moving. We hiked and would hike up into the mountains to then get a better vantage point. In hindsight, and a wiser stone sheep hunter might spend more time on the bottom using their glass to do the walking. But we had to learn the hard way. Did a lot of glassing from high vantage points, saw a lot of beautiful country, and we picked up some sheep, but we still had some work to do because we'd yet to locate a legal ram.
Was it their first sheep hunt?
It was Jess and Rich's second sheep hunt.
Okay.
Their first one was a failure. They didn't get very far. They ran out of water. They kind of tail and got out of there, but they were enthusiastic to get out the following year. And that's the year that I joined them that we're talking about now.
Okay. So far, even just so far, if you think about it, it's quite an adventure.
Oh yeah, for everybody. They had a bit better of an idea of what it took because they had been out and fell short the first time. But it was my first hunt and a stone sheep hunt, I should say. And we're all excited to be out there and we're determined. So over the course of the next 3 or 4 days, we continued to explore the mountain range that we were hunting, and it was vast. I mean, you could go as far as your body and your legs would carry you, but it's harder to get there than it looks, it takes hours. So spent a lot of time climbing all the different peaks and glassing to different vantages and doing our best to find a big legal ram. Coming up a little bit short, but we had some good encounters. My pal Rich walked off to a slightly different vantage point, set up and was glassing, and had a really close encounter with a stone sheep ram. It was a younger ram, but it walked right by him at about 20 yards. So really cool experience for him to see that ram that close.
I saw that in the video.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, I'm jealous.
Yeah, you're climbing mountains to try to bump into these things, and they're walking right by you.
Absolutely. Some of them are really skittish, and some of them are curious. But good on Rich for having the presence of mind to pull out his phone and getting a cool clip for us. Mm-hmm. So that was really cool and encouraging, right? That means there's rams around. It was just had to put in the work to find them. But so that takes us to about day 6 of a 12-day hunt. And we start realizing that maybe the far end of the range doesn't hold the rams that we're hoping. And that perhaps the first portion of the area that we came in, which we really didn't spend a lot of time glassing before we were excited. We moved right deep into the valley. But maybe there was a bit of terrain there that we hadn't checked. So we packed up our camp and hiked all the way back out. And now we're set up a little bit closer to kind of where we first came in. I remember getting up on the hill. We wanted to get up and into the wind to get away from the mosquitoes, but that's also a good spot to glass for sheep. And we saw lots of animals. I mean, we saw elk and moose down in the lower portions of the valley. I saw my first grizzly bear on the opposing mountain. Really cool, kind of shaggy looking thing, but it was on the opposite mountain, so I wasn't too worried. But I mean, there's plenty of bear tracks on the trails that we were hiking. And looking back on it now, the guys seemed to make me go first down the trail. I don't know what that was about.
For a reason.
I didn't have any issues with the bears. But so it was probably about day 8, and we were up on a hill. And we're trying our best to be good hunters, before moving into an area. You bring up your binos, you survey the area, you kind of clear the hilltop. Okay, I don't think there's any sheep there. We're going to move. But we did exactly that. Pulled up the binos, had a look. Okay, we're clear. Start moving. Then I got told to drop. And I dropped down immediately. And I looked up, and there's a band of rams on the ridge, probably 200 meters in front of us. And they're looking right at us. Rich identifies there's one big ram in the group. And so we got real excited, but the rams did not stick around. They took off and they went over the ridge, and we didn't see them again. So we kind of conveyed and we go, okay, well, we screwed that up, but we might have a chance at them. And as luck would have it, about 20 minutes later, they came up on an opposing mountain. Now, this mountain had taken us a whole day to get to. It took us a whole day to hike from it to where we were. The rams covered that distance in 20 to 30 minutes. So that's incredible to see. Mm-hmm. But now that they're on the opposing mountain face, we had a really good look at this band of rams. I think it was 6 or 7 with 2 nice rams in the group. And remember, we're looking for a ram 8 years or better or full curl past his nose. But there was one ram in this group that had a lot of mass on his horns. And we identified that one as a potential shooter. And we realized that for the rest of this hunt, no matter what it takes, we need to pursue this band of rams. So that's what we did. We came down off the mountain, packed up our second camp, went all the way down and to the base of the mountain that they're on.
How many days in are you now?
So we're at this point about day 9, right?
A lot of perseverance.
A lot of perseverance, and never say die attitude for sure, because we were determined, right? Totally determined and excited now that we'd seen these rams. So when we relocated, we were having trouble finding these sheep again on the mountain. We're right below them. It was tough to get a vantage point. And at the little lake, actually, that we're now adjacent to again, there was a little rowboat So we borrowed the rowboat. We rowed out to the middle of the lake, and I remember kind of glassing as we rowed across the lake, which is kind of funny. Never picked them up there. And so for the next day, again, trying to find these rams, could not locate them. So another night, and we're down to the final hunting day. All right, so we're starting to kind of make our way out, hiking out, but trying different vantage points. And we were lucky enough to locate, again, this band of rams. Now it was time, do or die, all or nothing. We're going to make a plan. We're going to go after these rams and try to close the deal on the last day of our hunt.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure, but a lot of excitement as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we had just that final day, and we decided we're going to march up to the top of this mountain, and we're going to make a play on these rams. So we did it. We came on the upwind side. We came on the downwind side of the rams, of course. And as we were making our way up the mountain, we were running into ewes and lambs that we initially had not seen. So it created another element where we had to be really careful, and we're kind of dodging these sheep and getting around them. And we were able to come around after a few hours of hiking to the very top of the mountain, peering over the edge carefully. Rich spotted the band of rams, and they were bedded. So we had a perfect opportunity to take our time and age the ram, but we had to be sure. So we're on top of this hill rod, and we're glassing the sheep. We got to make absolutely certain he's ate and he's legal. And we take actually a few hours to do it. And Rich is looking through his expensive spotter scope, and he's counting to 7. He'd counted 40 different times, and he's just waiting. He's waiting. And the problem was, being such a hot day in August, the sun was actually creating heat waves through the spotter, and he couldn't make it out. And it wasn't until the single cloud in the sky covered the sun, it actually became cool enough and clear enough that he could make absolutely certain and confirm this was at least an 8-year-old ram. At that point, he was already ready, shooting a Seiko rifle, I think a 270, and it happened to be about a 280-yard shot. But Rich made an amazing shot, actually 2 shots. He had a follow-up shot just to make sure, and the ram went down. And it was only after he realized he had not even dialed in the zoom on his scope. He was so locked in on that sheep that he was not going to miss, even though he hadn't bothered to zoom his optics in. Mm-hmm. But he made an amazing shot. The ram went down, and we all took a moment just of elation that after all that work, we had this beautiful ram down, and it happened in, you can't plan for something like that, but the very last day of a 12-day hunt, to get a ram down like that on the tallest peak of the area, absolute buzzer beater. And to get to do that together as a group after being through everything that we did was pretty special. And I remember just taking a minute to look around at the whole area that we're in, and how spectacular it was and how amazing it was. And I knew that I would never forget that moment. For sure.
And then, so now you make your way over to this guy, and you process him right there.
Yeah, we got our hands on him, took a few really nice photos. I'll keep forever. And we had to pack him out, and it was a tough pack, but we were excited, and that helped. There's a lot of enthusiasm, excitement there. Packed him all the way down and out, back to the extraction point on the river. And one thing that I'd been looking forward to the entire time, if we were lucky enough to do it, was cooking sheep ribs over an open fire, which our jet boat operator, Jason, said, you got to do the ribs. No matter what you do, cook the ribs. And I've never tasted anything better. We had salt to help with the cape, to preserve the cape. So we had ample salt, and we salted the ribs, cooked them over an open fire. And I just remember eating sheep ribs with a cold beer, and just, it was the best. So
it was like victory.
It was the best. It was the absolute best.
Love the smell of sheep ribs in the morning.
Nothing like it. Nothing like it. So yeah, very special, very memorable hunt, and a special moment for sure.
Yeah, well, that's an awesome story, man.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah.
And you captured a lot of really great footage too, which is great to have.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a 28 or 30-minute hunt on my channel, so the viewers can pop over and have a look if they want to see the full version. But very special to get to do something like that, and do it again in a heartbeat. But yeah,
that's awesome. All right, well, we're almost out of time. So again, how can people find your work?
Yeah, if you just hop on YouTube and you search Sky Edge, you'll see my channel. Recognize my face there, and got a whole bunch of videos. And every fall season, spring season, I endeavor to get out a bunch more. So putting out content. If you're interested in seeing it, hop on, subscribe, and shoot me a comment. Be happy to hear from you.
That's awesome. Really appreciate you sharing that story with us. And you're welcome back anytime, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
We did it. Cheers, boys. Great fucking trip.
Well deserved.
Oh, that is cold and delicious.
Oh my good lord.
Oh man.
That's not gonna last long.
There you go. It's a tradition to eat stone sheep. Okay, retry. Take 2.
That's that X3. We're right in front of you. Correct, yeah.
Caught up to our big giant stone ram. As you can see, he is a specimen. 8 years at least. Big, heavy bases. I think we're pretty stoked. We worked damn hard for this one. I hope you can tell that in the video. Did a lot of hiking. 120, 130 kilometers.
Probably more than that. Ugh. What kind of fish is that?
It's an eater.
I've never seen a fish like that in my life. Ew.